Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and it has already begun. We have several Nintendo Direct rumors and leaks for an early 2026 presentation, with potentially announcements like Luigi's Mansion 4, Zelda 40th Anniversary projects, and long-awaited other announcements such as Monster Hunter Wilds. There's a lot going on already, suggesting a pretty significant Nintendo Direct to start the new year. Some of this is rumor, and some of this appears to be legitimate leaks, and so that's what we're diving into today. Now, before going forward, let me simply point out I have this goal to reach 60,000 subscribers, so if you find yourself enjoying my videos and you haven't subscribed already, I would very much appreciate your subscription. But diving into things here, our first rumor on the Nintendo Direct comes from friend of the channel, Attack the Backlog. Now, for those who do not know, Attack the Backlog has actually reported on multiple Nintendo Directs in the past and has been correct about them before over these last few months. He's even teased The Adventures of Elliot ahead of announcement, so he has some history already from his source that has been pretty accurate about Nintendo Directs, and now he's saying he's hearing about something else for a Nintendo Direct. Here he says, 12 minutes into the new year, and I get given Nintendo Direct news. Happy 2026. He does not specify more at this point. He's waiting until he gets more information. However, Nash Weedle, popular leaker who has gotten many things right throughout the year of 2025, responded to Attack the Backlog and said, New Year and the Nintendo Direct rumors begin. January? February? As far as I know, there's something before the General Direct. Winky face. So, to me, what it seems like is being suggested here by Nash Weedle is that there is going to be something before the General Direct. Perhaps another Direct, maybe a partner showcase, maybe an indie world. Those are certainly, I would say, likely candidates here. Another one I'll throw out there that I think perhaps makes a lot of sense is, well, another Mario movie Direct. With the prior Mario movie, there were multiple Mario movie Directs. Technically, we haven't gotten a dedicated Mario movie Direct yet because the first trailer for the Mario Galaxy movie was in the September General Nintendo Direct. And then we got a teaser in December, but there wasn't a Mario movie Direct. I think that's probably going to come at some point, and perhaps that is what is going to happen before the General Direct. It does make sense. The Mario movie is coming out in a few months. As we get closer, marketing should be ramping up even more. We should be getting more trailers and teasers and such. So I would say that's a likely candidate for a Nintendo presentation before the General Direct. But I'll throw out another idea that I do not believe is happening, but I'm just covering all my bases here. This is the 40th anniversary for The Legend of Zelda, and it's believed by many, myself included, that there are going to be celebrations for the Legend of Zelda series more so than prior big anniversary years. I'm talking about those 5-year intervals. Nintendo has admittedly been a little hit or miss with how big they go for the Legend of Zelda, but this time around I do think they're going to go bigger, especially with the Zelda movie coming out next year, and also because I think they need some good Zelda love to start off the generation of Switch 2, more so than what they did last year. And technically Zelda's anniversary is in February, so they could provide a Zelda Anniversary Direct announcing a variety of things. Again, I do not think this is going to happen, but I'm simply mentioning it as a possibility. I think most likely Nintendo will not actually celebrate Zelda's anniversary until a little bit later. They might make mention of it in the General Direct and announce some things, but basically how I think they're going to celebrate Zelda's anniversary is with different key releases and announcements throughout the year, not necessarily with one big Direct early on in the year. But Nash Weedle is suggesting something is coming before the General Direct, so what might that be? If I had to place my bets, I think it's probably a Mario movie Direct, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, in terms of when we do get the General Direct, I'm kind of inclined to think here that if we're getting this something else beforehand, the something else is a January presentation, and the big General Direct is in February. We actually arguably have a pretty significant hint towards that because Bloober Team is teasing a countdown for February 15th where, quote here, was a C posted by Warrior64, "Dare to peek into the darkness." Now, for those who haven't been keeping up with this Project M project, recently there was this tease from the Bloober team where they said, "We are confident that we'll be able to share first details very soon. What I can say is this: fans of Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Limbo, and Eternal Darkness will immediately feel at home. That said, Project M introduces a bold twist, one that no horror game has ever explored before. This is a vision that could only exist on Nintendo hardware." So in terms of Nintendo Direct hints, here they say, "We are confident that we'll be able to share the first details very soon." And then soon after, they announced this countdown here that is concluding on February 15th. So maybe the Nintendo Direct is literally smack dab in the middle of February. The one issue with this theory here, that that's when this Direct is happening, is that February 15th is on a Sunday. So I would say it's unlikely that the Direct would be on a Sunday. However, because they're doing their own teaser countdown here, I think what makes more sense is that they're going to tease things on their own, but there may be a very quick follow-up. So if we're going to get some sort of announcement about this project or another teaser on the 15th, we'll probably have a bigger trailer in a Direct, maybe in just a few days, and that week between the 15th to the 21st, that's a possibility, and that would not shock me as a week where we could see the next Nintendo Direct. This would be the week after Mario Tennis Fever comes out, which does make sense. Typically, we do not see Nintendo Directs happen in the same week a game is coming out, so could be then. Also, possibly this Bloober Team project is just not at all in the Direct, and the Direct actually happens in the week before Mario Tennis Fever, assuming February is the time. These are all possibilities to consider here. But just coming back to this Bloober Team project, because I do feel like it's being hyped up, I would be surprised if it's not in a Direct in some form. It is being teased that it will be related to something that appeals to fans of Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Limbo, and Eternal Darkness. There's been some speculation that this might be a spiritual successor to Eternal Darkness, and this is a partnership with Nintendo here, so that's just more reason for me to think that this would have to be something involved with the Nintendo Direct. I'd be surprised if they skipped the Nintendo Direct, so I am definitely thinking that the Direct is probably happening after this tease. Of course, if we get it beforehand, I'm not going to complain, but I will scratch my head about why they had this teaser happening afterwards. Anyways, now moving on to an actual leak here, we have more information strongly supporting the idea that Monster Hunter Wilds is indeed coming to Nintendo Switch 2. There have been more data mines. Here you can literally see a lobby screen, or a lobby creation screen, and here it mentions Nintendo Switch 2. Like, there you go. This is literal UI for the Switch 2 version. And yet, there's more. Scrolling through this page here, there's mentions of Switch 2 here for a DLSS preset to the game, Deep Learning Super Sampling. The Switch 2 uses that. And so there's an example there. Here, there's some culling data for the Switch 2 version. This is how NPCs are processed and loaded in, and at what distance you can see them and such. Here we see mention of the Switch 2 as well for local multiplayer. Like, there's just a lot of different references to Switch 2 in the data mine for Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, literally, yeah, this game is totally coming, and it feels like it's happening fairly soon. It definitely has me thinking, could this be a game that is going to be announced in the upcoming Nintendo Direct? Capcom has shown such strong momentum for Switch 2 as of late. We're getting Resident Evil in February, we're then getting Pragmata in April. It would make sense to announce their next big title coming to Switch 2 to follow up these titles not too much later. So perhaps we're getting Monster Hunter Wilds for Switch 2 in summer, and they're going to announce it in this upcoming Direct. Now, I will say, just because we're seeing data mines of the Switch 2 version does not mean it's coming out imminently very soon. It could still take a fair bit of a while. And so, while I feel like it makes a lot of sense to think that they may announce it in this next Nintendo Direct, that doesn't mean they for sure will. This project, this port, could take a little bit longer. Still though, this is fairly convincing. I am basically 99.9% sure Monster Hunter Wilds is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Another significant third-party series that supposedly is on its way to Nintendo Switch 2 is the Star Wars Jedi series. Both Fallen Order and Survivor are supposedly on the way, according to Nash Weedle. Do I believe it? Yeah, a lot of big third-party games are on the way. These feel pretty believable. They've actually been rumored for well over a year from other places, and here Nash Weedle is also suggesting so. I don't doubt it, but we'll see when it happens, if it happens. But we're not done with the leaks here. So yesterday I posted a video about how we got what is probably an accurate leak for the next open-air Zelda project that the Zelda team is working on that likely won't come out for a few years. This information came from the Xbox Era podcast shared by Special Nick, who has a history of accurately leaking a variety of things, and this includes Nintendo things. In terms of the Nintendo things, because that's what I focus on and pay attention to, from what I have observed, Special Nick, his sources, have been 100% accurate, and we highlighted that in yesterday's video. He's leaked details about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond before we knew anything really about it, beyond just that it was in development. He's leaked details about Switch 2 launch plans and pricing and the Mario Kart World Bundle, and he's even leaked most recently the Mario Galaxy 2 remaster that came up for Switch 1 and Switch 2. And so all of that has been 100% spot on, and so I think there's a really good chance what he has heard about Zelda is also probably true, but there was actually more said in regards to Nintendo from this Xbox Era podcast. That entire podcast will be linked in the description below. There's some very interesting discussion there, so I strongly recommend you check it out. But here's a quick little clip in terms of something else that was said that's actually, I think, an extremely huge deal.
I do have a list of a few different characters here, but I don't think I'm allowed to say them all. But I will say one. There's, I mean, obviously some Zelda ones here, but there is one that I reckon might interest Jeff, Luigi, with Poltergeist 3000.
Sure. Yeah, okay. That Luigi's Mansion 4 has got to be happening in the next year or two.
A Luigi with a vacuum.
And so from this clip, we have learned that Special Nick has heard about a whole bunch of Amiibos that are on the way. This fact alone shouldn't be really any surprise. Amiibos have been coming out consistently for years, and there's really no reason to think that's going to stop. But what is the big deal here is which Amiibos he is hearing about. He mentions a whole bunch of Zelda Amiibo and a Luigi Poltergeist Amiibo. And so these two little details here are actually probably really strong hints towards what is coming out in this year of 2026. We've already talked about how it's Zelda's 40th anniversary. If Nick is hearing about a whole bunch of Zelda Amiibos on the way, then that strongly suggests there's going to be games coming out for these Amiibo. Amiibo typically only come out when there are game releases for them. So what game or games could be coming out that would mean a whole bunch of Zelda Amiibo are on the way? Likely one, if not several Zelda projects releasing in 2026 for Zelda's 40th anniversary. Now, personally, I feel like if you're just coming out with maybe like a Wind Waker Twilight Princess HD, you could reprint those Amiibo or come up with new versions for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, but it's suggested there are several Zelda Amiibo coming out, and so I'm left to think it's perhaps something a little bit more substantial than just a port of two Wii U remasters. My heart tells me Ocarina of Time remake, but there are other possibilities. We have since been speculating that perhaps Monolith Soft has actually been working on a Zelda spin-off that might be actually a very exciting big deal kind of spin-off, and maybe that warrants a whole bunch of Zelda Amiibo. Or maybe there's just several different projects, all of which are going to warrant an Amiibo or two, which leads to several Zelda Amiibo coming out in the not-so-distant future for the overall Zelda 40th anniversary. So that's just some strong hints for Zelda releases this year. But perhaps what is the even bigger deal is that we're apparently getting a Luigi Poltergeist Amiibo, which strongly suggests that yes, what we've been theorizing for a good while is finally going to be announced really soon. Luigi's Mansion 4. This is just another drop in the bucket of evidence to suggest that Luigi's Mansion 4 is right around the corner. Next Level Games has been working on something over the last few years. We do not know what that is, but based off their pattern of release, they are actually overdue. Luigi's Mansion 3 was their most successful game ever. It makes sense to put out Luigi's Mansion 4 early on into Switch 2 to take advantage of that strong sales potential there and build on it. But also, this is still the period of Mario anniversary celebrations, and we also have the Mario movie. It's already been well documented that the Mario movie does increase overall Mario brand sales. I believe that would also extend to Luigi's Mansion 4. So from a timing perspective, it absolutely makes sense to capitalize on this period and put out a Luigi's Mansion 4. Not to mention, the Luigi's Mansion series has been known to be a technical showcase game for each hardware it's released on originally. Luigi's Mansion 4 coming out early for Switch 2 would be a great thing to put out there. And I could go on and on and on about all the different things that are suggesting Luigi's Mansion 4 is likely coming out soon, but this Amiibo leak is a really strong indicator in my opinion, and Luigi's Mansion 4 might just be the big Nintendo Direct announcement that's coming in about a month or so. Usually general Nintendo Directs have at least one big new Nintendo announcement that's going to excite a big part to the core fan base. It might just be Luigi's Mansion 4. Now, I will mention that Nashville did also talk about a few weeks ago that Monolith Soft might be gearing up for a significant announcement as well in the upcoming Nintendo Direct. So maybe that's the big announcement, but also, why does it have to be just one? It could be multiple. So a new Monolith Soft game being shown off at the Nintendo Direct, and also Luigi's Mansion 4 being in the Nintendo Direct, that would be incredible. And what's interesting is that Nintendo would still have plenty more material to announce in future Directs this year that could be exciting, like some Zelda stuff, or perhaps 3D Mario. There's a lot of potential for more here, but I'm sure we're going to continue to hear about this Nintendo Direct as we continue into 2026. But right now, I'm just hyped for Luigi's Mansion 4 likely happening. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.